Welcome to the YouTube channel, Why Kim. Subscribe, ring the bell. Christmas is nearly over. Oh, thank goodness. No, I'm kidding. Christmas is awesome. Okay, straight to the topic. It's a heavy topic and it's controversial. It shouldn't be controversial, in my humble opinion. I don't have any claim to the truth. 1, make any claim to the truth. 2, I have grown up in this culture. I am your typical Western white man who was assigned to be a man at birth. Let's just get that straight before we get into the topic, because it's heavy, it's controversial. We're in Australia. Let's stay here in Australia and talk about it. We don't have to go anywhere else. In the metaverse to talk about it. LGBTQIA, emotion, feeling, and religious family, conservative tradition. Number 1, there's some people that want to keep the family intact because the family makes our community. And if we don't have a traditional family, things break down. It's an interesting argument, and in some aspects, what do you think? It's a good argument. Broken families lead to problems for people on their own, issues, and it leads to a community where there's all these people that are sad and upset and don't feel a part of because their family was broken down. That's the argument that some people have. Religious people have this argument. Conservative people have this argument. The traditional family is important, and we don't want that impacted upon. I'm going to talk a bit slowly sometimes, even though I struggle to do it, just to pause and reflect about the claims that are being made here, because it's always about the arguments and the claims that are being made, about stopping and thinking about them carefully, using our emotion, our proper feeling, and our reason. Our family is important. I think everybody would agree, I think a lot of people might agree that families are important. However, some of the traditionalists, they don't just say that. They're saying that the traditional family with male and female role models in the house, that's what's important. That can't be broken down. Father, mother, daughter, son. We do not want to lose that. And that's important. That's the argument. Now think about it. Think about it. That's what they're saying. How true is that? Now let's look at the other side. I don't really know what I'm talking about here, but I'm going to go for it. To a small extent. It started with feminism. The argument is, and then afterwards, this comes along a little bit more, but anyway, let's just go for it. The medical community and biologists, they agree that the science dictates that your sex, there's a few different sexes. There's even a sex when you're born that's like a male and female put together. There's even another type of sex. Then there might be another one. Then there's the binary, the two, the bi, which is the male and the female. The medical community, most of them, agree on this scientific fact, claim. Now the LGBTQI are riding off the back of the feminist arguments. The LGBTQI will say, some of them will say, the ones that I kind of agree with, I think, okay, yes, there is a medical premise there and a medical fact that sex is real and there's different sexes when you're born. The problem that we've got, though, it's not that. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about that. We're talking about gender, which is another thing altogether. This is where they ride off the back of the feminists. Gender is what the culture, wherever you are, the society, whether it's Beijing, China, Brisbane, Australia, Kenya, Africa, Venezuela, South America, whether it's Paris in France, the gender is assigned to you and shapes you from that culture. Ever since you're little, as you grow up, the family shapes you, the culture shapes you. Feminism says that the little girls are given dresses, they're given makeup, they're made to wear it since they're very small. They're made to do their hair, grow their hair. They're made to shave their legs. They're made to look pretty. They're made to act a certain way. They're made to do certain things. Cook dinners, be there for the man. Now the strong argument, I would say, the strong side of the argument will tell us that the little girls and the women are made to do that by the men, because the men find it attractive, because the men want that. The powerful men want that to happen because they're attracted to women and girls that look that way and act that way. That's what they want for themselves. That's the strong side of the argument. That's their claim. So we have to pause again and think about that claim. Is that true? I'm not making any claim to the truth. I'm just asking you guys, is that true? LGBTQI, they somewhat ride off the back of that argument. That the gender has been, they're forced to have some gender by the culture. Not sex. No. They're forced to have a gender. Not sex. Let's say it again to emphasize it. They're forced to have a gender, a role to play. So the LGBTQI ride off the back of the feminist argument, and they're saying, why do we have to be this persona? We don't agree with it. We don't feel it. That's not us. That's not the way we feel about things. Now there is the crux of the matter, the crux of the issue. And this is what these people disagree on. The traditional family values versus LGBTQI fighting against that. And the reason they fight against it and the reason the feminists are still fighting is because they have felt put down, forced, discriminated. And this is where I want to talk about emotion. At times, they feel sad, judged, disrespected, devastated, feel out of place. Some of them don't fight, some of them don't argue, some of them they're not violent. They just feel terrible because someone's judged them in a moment that's happened. And they go home crying and confused. Not because they have a psychiatric problem or they have a mental health problem, because they're a human being with feelings. And aren't emotions important? Again, emotion. Emotions are either important or they're not. Now I'm saying they are. I'm not making a claim to the truth, but I kind of am with that. I'm still not making a claim to the truth. I'm just giving my take on things. I could be wrong. Emotions are important. So LGBTQI, emotions are important. If they feel that way, isn't it the job of someone else who wants to understand how to feel for other people properly, to respect that, to feel empathy for that, because that's what happens sometimes. Now, the problem that goes on in Australia right now, I think, is that some people that live the traditional family way, which could be the right way, I don't know, they pretend to accept LGBTQI. They say, oh, it's fine, it's totally fine. They can do whatever they want. Now, why should they be saying, why do they need to be accepted for starters? Why do I need your acceptance? How come I'm needing your acceptance? What? How? Why? That's just one thing. But this is what I've noticed in my take on things. They say, okay, I've got no problems. Why do you even have to say I've got no problems? What does that even... They say I've got no problems, and they'll even be friends with you. And it's authentic in that moment when they're with them. But then when they go home in their secret world with their family and their friends, or even in their thoughts, they say, not on my watch with my family. I hope my children don't end up wanting to be LGBTQI. That's what some of them think, but they've just pretended before. Now, what I'm saying is, if that's true, then don't you think that makes the LGBTQI? Don't you think, put yourself in the shoes of another